With Jurassic World Evolution 3 right around the corner, I put together 5 things that I'd want to see out of a perfect version of Jurassic World Evolution. Hopefully, maybe some of them might make it into Jurassic World Evolution 3. I don't have hopes, but leaving it this late, I mean. But, you know, it's worth a shot. Number 5 is Cenozoic creatures. With the addition of Megalodon, a species I didn't think we were going to see in an evolution game, I think opening up the roster to other things than dinosaurs isn't a question of if, and more when. We've seen it in games like Jurassic Park Builder and Jurassic World the game. Whenever they add aquatics, Cenozoics, you know, these other creatures aren't far behind. And it really seems like the easy next step for them to take when introducing creatures. And when you're adding in things like the saber-toothed cat and the Smilodon, woolly mammoths, it's going to open up the door to other things that aren't, you know, from the Cenozoic era. We could go even further back to the Carboniferous period, where you had giant insects like the giant centipede Megaplura and things like that. Really, all you need to do when it comes to the evolution games is look at the Nexus website and see which mods are most popular. I don't think it's a coincidence that Jurassic World Evolution 3 is marketing that the terrain tools are a big feature, as that was one of the most popular mods on the Nexus website. And considering they like to make everything that was canon in the game, you know, Camp Cretaceous kind of had a saber-toothed tiger in there, as well as some of the robotic dogs, which we'll not talk about. And considering the roster of the most recent reveals in Jurassic World Evolution 3, talking about the Stachosaurus and the feathered Guanlong, I don't think we're far off seeing a woolly mammoth added to the game now. And number 4, improved combat mechanics. I've made no secret of what I think of the combat when it comes to the evolution games, you know, especially the last one. If you've ever watched any of my battle royales, you'll know how very well acquainted I am with those mechanics. And I'll say I don't mind the dueling mechanic that they have in the game at the moment. The deaths are unique, the battle animations in them are beautiful, but there's just one thing missing when it comes to the battles, and I think it just comes down to how formulaic they all feel. You'll know exactly which dinosaurs will win a fight just by checking their attack, defense, and health stats before, you know, the battle commences. And when it comes to the herbivores, you know, things like Brachiosaurus, a huge sauropod, stand no chance against literally anything. They can't fight back at the time of recording this video anyway. A T-Rex can just walk up to it and take a chomp out of the back of it. And it doesn't even have to be a T-Rex. A pack of Dilophosaurus can bring that thing down, apparently. So it goes without saying that one of the things I'd like to see improved about the combat is just that sauropods could do something about being attacked. I know in J-Pog, the raptors, every time they fall off, they would take a bit of damage. So, you know, it'd lead to results of only one raptor dying because it couldn't take it down. It would just fight over and over again. Not saying that needs to be in this game, but something would be nice. Pretty much, sauropods at the moment are glorified carnivore feeders. So when it comes to adding new things, you know, you've got the dual mechanic in there, I think they should add different ones. How about a hunting mechanic? Maybe some carnivores like the Velociraptor can make use of the environment. Maybe there's a tall grass foliage thing that they can hide in and then pounce on prey as it comes by rather than waiting to line up. And if we're going to do something like that, how about small herbivores able to hide in there and get away from larger carnivores? How Malocephaly could run in there if it was being chased by a raptor, or if it even seen a raptor possibly until it felt safe. And this is one of the first proper mentions of Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, but it won't be the last. I really enjoyed how they implemented Stegosaurus and Ankylosaurus in that game. If you didn't know, when they're faced with a predator, unlike Evolution, they wouldn't turn to fight it in a weird duel thing. No, what they would do is turn the opposite direction and swing their tail and try to get out of there. Which meant that if a carnivore was chasing one of these, the Stegosaur or Ankylosaurids, then it would get hit by the tail and fail its hunt and take damage and run away. If they managed to surprise the herbivore by coming from a different angle, of course this is all random, then they could actually get the attack off. Because said Stegosaur and Ankylosaur wouldn't be able to turn around quick enough in order to hit their would-be assailant. This this also would lead other dinosaurs to be hit by the tail accidentally. So while the stegosaur was trying to run away from the carnivore, swinging its tail wildly back and forth, something that was alongside it could get hit. Even little dinosaurs like dryosaurs would get killed if they got hit by the tail. And this led to an amazing butterfly effect, for when a carnivore was charging into a herd of herbivores, you never really knew what was going to happen. The stegosaur would turn and whack its tail backwards and forwards, it would hit another dinosaur, and then that would send panic and chaos throughout the entire megapack. In evolution, however, the T-Rex just rocks up to a herd of stegosaurs, points at one, says, "Oi, fight me," takes one bite, kills it, and do that about 99 times. It feels coded, it feels sterile. And the weirdest thing is, this dual combat mechanic they have existed in JPOG. T-Rex would have duels with Spinosaurus, with Stegosaur and Kylosaur. If their health and certain parameters were met, they would have a duel to the death. And each time that happened, one of them was going to die. Unlike in Evolution, where you can watch a battle for a good, 2 minutes and nobody dies, and it's like, oh, okay, I just wasted my time. In short, I love the animations that are in Jurassic World Evolution right now. I just feel it needs something a little bit extra to push it over to that 100%, like a unique hunting animation for smaller carnivores, or, maybe just some randomness added. Maybe a raptor doesn't have to pounce on a stegosaur to attack it. Maybe it could just run by, claw it, bite it. Something would just mean that, it would be different to watch and more entertaining. There you go. That's my 2 cents. And number 3, generative islands. Yes, this is the thing that we had in JPOG. What you did before you started every playthrough was listen to John Hammond say those beautiful words. My name is John Hammond. I just want to be able to create that in Evolution, a campaign style, but, on an island, with random generated dig sites and random missions, so every time I play through it could be different. Even when I made my islands in Jurassic World Evolution 2, you can still see the rest of the map, so it doesn't really feel like an island when I'm down there on the ground and I can see a massive landscape off in the distance. I don't think this is too much of a big ask. They've kind of got everything they need to make it already. It just needs its own separate tab or, menu. If I was to guess, and this wasn't in Jurassic World Evolution 3 at launch, it might be added when it comes to the Jurassic World Rebirth DLC, because we know we're going to get it. It's going to have Distortus, it's going to have the Mutadon, but I think they'd probably put Isla Hubert in there, which is an island, and maybe the free update could be Generative Islands. Sounds like a good idea to me. Even if it's straight up lifted from JPOG, I wouldn't mind. Just have Cabot Finch say everything that John Hammond did. It would be a nice Easter egg for everyone who's played JPOG, and a tutorial for everyone who doesn't even know what he's, referencing. Number 2, natural ecosystems. And I think this is actually something they might have already achieved in Jurassic World Evolution 3. Ever since the days I was a young lad, setting up my camcorder in front of my computer, playing JPOG, yes, that's what I did, here's some footage. It's probably about 20 years old now. My god, the quality was beautiful. I've always wanted to create my own living, breathing dinosaur ecosystem on an island, where dinosaurs could reproduce, establish territories. The intro of The Lost World when John Hammond's pointing at that computer. That's what I wanted to make. Dinosaurs living out their natural lives. And I've been trying to recreate that in Jurassic World Evolution 2 to the best of my abilities. If you haven't seen my Island series, I highly suggest watching it. I poured hundreds of hours into that, recreating the islands and the ecosystems and putting the dinosaurs in there. You won't regret it. And after seeing the showcases and playing the actual game, Jurassic World Evolution 3, it does seem like they might have already done this already. When it comes to nesting, they did say that you need to assign scientists for dinosaurs to use the nest. This seems like a pretty easy fix when it comes to Sandbox, just turn off require scientists to make them breed. I swear, whenever the scientists, you just turn them off. We don't need them. Except for if it's him. We need him. And the only thing that might not be in Jurassic World Evolution 3 is the ability for dinosaurs to place their nests themselves. I think if the population of dinosaurs has all their needs are met, then I don't see a reason why they can't make their own nests. In a park situation, it kind of feels natural to place their nest down to allow the breeding to happen. But in a natural ecosystem where I just plonk down dinosaurs, I don't want to tell them that that's where your nest is and that's where your nest is. I want to let them go and watch them like it's ants or something. I want to see them build their own ecosystems and stake out their territories and put their nests where it feels appropriate. And speaking of territories, I don't know about you, but I never really understood them. In Jurassic World Evolution 2, it felt like they would establish their territory, and then once they'd done that, they would just keep on going out of the territory until they'd gone so far out, then they would start establishing a new territory. It really felt like it only made sense if there was a fence stopping them, from going exploring. And I can attest to that. Because in my ecosystem videos, I've had dinosaurs have everything they want, walk away, and die of dehydration because they walked out of their area that had water. So hopefully in Evolution 3 they'll fix that, or at least make it more obvious when a dinosaur has its established territory. A difference between marking its territory, making it, and then having it. Almost like it's making its own fence, invisible-wise or other. So we arrive at number 1. What do you think my number 1 pick is going to be? Because, I'll tell you, right now, it's guests. Oh my god. This is one of the smallest, yet biggest changes I hope they could make to Jurassic World Evolution 3. Right now, guests in Evolution are basically placeholders, there to show you how well your park is doing. How you actually tell how your park is doing is going into the menu and seeing heat maps and stuff like that. Almost as if we're Claire Deering, the start of Jurassic World, and we don't really care for the dinosaurs. Yes, I'll mention J-Park. Give them names, give them hometowns, allow them to hold souvenirs. But more importantly, I want to see how they're enjoying the park. To me, there are no guests in these parks that we make. There is only path. All the guests do is show you how healthy the path is, and maybe get eaten by dinosaurs and cool animations every now and again. But they have no real impact on the game or the gameplay. Frontier is focused on dinosaurs, and it's understandable why. They're the selling point. But if the guests don't feel half as alive as the dinosaurs, you have this weird imbalance. When it comes to dinosaurs, you gotta make sure they have trees, they have rocks, they have space. What happens if a dinosaur breaks out? Well, you've got a ranger station, you've got a veterinary unit to heal them, you've got now an ATV separate building in order to fix the fence too. So what happens when a dinosaur actually does break out? Well, I have to sedate the dinosaur, I have to fix the fence, I have to put the dinosaur back, and maybe I won't make money for a little bit while the dinosaur's out. But apart from that, the stakes are really low. Now, if a dinosaur breaks out, and George, one of my first ever visitors in the park, who's just got off his first ever balloon tour ride, is in the park when it breaks out, I might actually want to capture it and save him. He's seen his favorite dinosaur. He's just purchased a Jurassic World balloon. I want to save the guy. When a dinosaur breaks out in Evolution, you're kind of like, ooh, is it going to eat somebody? Pause, zoom in. I know I keep harping back to J-Pog, but in that game, when a guest dies, it doesn't matter if it was eaten by a dinosaur, sucked up into a tornado, or died of exposure out in the wilderness. It always kind of feels the same. You lose half a star, which is quite a bit in that game, and a chunk of cash. You feel every visitor that dies in J-Pog. Switch over to Evolution and you can watch a Triceratops barrel down about 100 people and it has no real consequence. The main reason I think the Frontier haven't made guests like this is because of the processing power. It's basically like having 100 extra dinosaurs, if not thousands of extra dinosaurs, having to keep track of them, where they're going, having pathfinding. It goes without saying, it's gonna be a big investment on their part and on your computer or console. They're not gonna generate thousands of people, all with names, identities, and a story. So I would say, don't make thousands, maybe 100 or so. Just make it smaller. We don't have to have a park that spans an entire continent. And I think in Evolution, that's what we're missing. It's a bit like The Sims. You like watching them. You like seeing what they're doing. But in Evolution, they're just they're nothing. But the guests have so much wider effect on everything. And we're going to talk about J-Pog again for a second. Take the Safari Tour, for instance. It has its own rating. It displays how many dinosaurs have been seen and its overall score. Thrill seekers want to see dinosaurs tear apart other things. Dino nerds want to see all the same dinosaurs from the same period, the same foliage, all in one exhibit, which makes sense. All these things deepen the gameplay. When a dinosaur eats a goat, it's recorded on the tour and it boosts the score. Take that exact same tour, translate it into Evolution, and what do you have? Basically, they boil down all of that score and everything down to coverage, if you can see the dinosaur. JPOG asks the question, can you see the dinosaurs? What are the dinosaurs doing, and do you like the dinosaurs? Whereas Evolution's bare-bone question is, can you see the dinosaurs? What's the difference between a viewing platform, a safari tour, or even a balloon tour in Evolution? The radius in which said attraction gives off. And I'm not here to say, bring everything in JPOG into Evolution, because I think we can take the bare bones of JPOG and expand on it more. How about we give every guest a favorite dinosaur? Or what if celebrities come to your park and they have certain wants and needs and they have a favorite dinosaur, but they want to see the dinosaur before they leave, giving you an incentive to display said dinosaur? You get rewards for it. That way you're taking the guest mechanic and turning it into its own sort of gameplay loop thing. I want guests to have an activity feed. I want to know how they're experiencing the park. I want to see maybe even selfies if they've taken a certain petting zoo experience, or like I said, a balloon tour or a safari tour. There's so much you can do with something like this, and for a game that's a park simulator, this is so important. Even after 22 years, when I boot up a game of Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, when I open my park, the first thing I do is watch those guests come into my park. I see them pull out their umbrellas when it starts to rain. See them display their gifts that they actually went into the gift shop and bought. I enjoy all of that, as well as the dinosaurs. Checking out what dinosaurs they've already seen and if their dinosaur score is 100%. And that is why this is on my #1 spot, because it's so important to a game like this. But I know I'm a little bit late when the game is basically a few weeks away from launch. But the brilliant thing about Frontier is that when they release this game, they keep on working on it. Every time they release a DLC, they add free features to the game. You don't even need to buy the DLC. So, in a roundabout way, everything I've talked about could be added to the game even after launch. It doesn't have to be a DLC. It could just be a guest rework, something like that. Or maybe even, I don't know, Jurassic World Evolution 4? So, if you could add any feature to make Jurassic World Evolution the perfect Jurassic Park simulator game, what would it be and why? And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.